you?
Yes. People are jumping on. Look, they're all ready. Kathy says, I'm excited for this
Yay!
one.
Hello, hello, hello. I see names I recognize. Hello,
That's
people.
right. Everyone is here. Janice is on the other side as well, doing some linking, and everyone's here.
Hi, Janice.
This is the place to be, Francesca Watson.
Like I said, I feel like I'm part of the cool kids club now. I'm so grateful to be invited.
Well, we are so grateful to have you. What a day it has been.
No joke. I was checking in through the day. Man, people were making some beautiful stuff.
Right. Weren't
Holy
they,
cow.
though?
Yeah.
It was so fun. Oh, and thank you. Teresa is happy to be here, and she has shared it to your groups. Thank you so much.
I've shared it to both of my groups, so I hope my people are here representing.
We love it. We've shared it to our groups. So let me tell you, let me first do my due diligence here and
Yes,
let me
ma'am.
be an official host and say, welcome to the final presentation today of the Great Bead Extravaganza. We are so excited to have our very special Spring Fling guest, Francesca Watson of the Makery. Now, Francesca's going to talk a little bit about herself. She's going to talk a little bit about what she does over at the Makery. You can find her over at themakeryarts.com. She has a fantastic resource. People are already commenting on it, Francesca. I posted Francesca's resource document 2 places in the Great Bead Extravaganza group. So you need to go over to the group and join. And it's posted right on the feed, and it's also posted in our files. So it has links to find everything that Francesca is going to use today. It's a really great metalsmithing resource. So thank you, Francesca.
You are so welcome.
Together.
You are so welcome.
So great. Janine says, let the metal smashing commence.
We're not doing a whole ton of smashing today. We're doing more firing of things, but smashing is high on my list of favorite things to do.
Yeah, a little bit of smashing. A little bit.
There's a little bit of smashing. There's a little.
And Katney said, Francesca, we're so excited. Thanks for accepting me into your group.
You are so welcome.
You know, let's start off by talking about your groups. I'm going to actually highlight you, my friend, because you are the focus of this. So I'm going to highlight you. You let me know when you want me to run those things in the background.
Perfect. Perfect.
And I'll jump in with some questions and stuff when we're ready. Okay.
Excellent. Well, I have 2 groups now. We've got a free group, Open Studio, which I think we linked to when we were doing the preview. And I'm sorry, my camera is right here, but I can see you all right here. So this is where I'm looking. I'm looking at you, kids. That group is over 5,800 people in 82 countries or something. It's pretty cool. That's the group that started up during COVID. And then at the beginning of 2024, we switched over to an actual paid subscriber model. And we just launched last week, in fact, a brand new learning platform. So at the end of tonight's session, we are going to open the doors to you guys, Great Bead Extravaganza people. We'll tell you more about what you get for the $15 a month. It's kind of a good deal, and there may be a coupon code for you guys. So stay tuned. So what we're going to do tonight, I'm going to show you kind of how I did all of these things. I'm going to show you pretty quickly. It's a fairly short video, but I'm going to show you some of my favorite tips. I know for a lot of folks, when you're first getting started in metalsmithing, it can be very intimidating. I'm going to show you some of the things that you can do very easily without a lot of investment. And then we're going to come back. We're actually going to finish this pair of earrings together. Becky Brown, thank you. She says the new platform is amazing. We put a lot of work into it. We're going to finish this pair of earrings. I'm going to show you how we went from this to something like this. And then I'm going to put all of this aside, and I'm going to show you the torches and the soldering surfaces that I use in this video that I'm about to show you. We're going to compare torches. I'm going to talk to you about which ones I think you should look at and which ones I think you maybe should skip. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to talk about soldering surfaces, and then there should be plenty of time for you guys to ask questions. So that was kind of my goal, right? When I was first starting out, I started out as a beader, passionate about the beads. I had all sorts of questions, and I really wish I had a resource like this to get me started. So I'm going to go ahead and jump in. Kate, if we can, run that video. It can be a little bit intimidating when you work with silver. People always say, well, I don't want to waste it. Well, I'm going to show you that nothing is wasted. We're going to melt up this scrap. You can see this one even has a little piece of paper on it, and you'll see later in the video why that had a little piece of paper. And so you just melt it up into a ball, and I preloaded a pair of cross-lock tweezers with a piece of 18 gauge wire, and you can see I'm going to just kind of poke the molten metal, and I missed it the first time. It didn't work. Oh, womp womp. So that's okay. Nothing is fatal in this part of the process. So we're just going to heat that up again, and we're going to stick that wire in there and let the molten metal draw up it a little bit. Kind of get it centered, give it a minute, and then hold really still. And it makes a beautiful little kind of nugget at the end of that piece of wire. So I'm going to quench it and pickle it. We'll talk about pickle. Pickle is how you clean the metal. So when it comes out, look at how pretty that is. And that wire is super soft. My apologies for the fact that I didn't get a manicure for you folks. I apologize about that. Sometimes they come out and they're not all that fantastic, and so that's all right. We'll just flatten it. So I'm just going to use a hammer on a bench block, and I'm going to flatten it. And then I'm going to use a sanding pad and just clean off the top of that. And then I'm going to take a round ball peen hammer, and I'm just going to give that a hammered texture. And in a minute, when we come back, I'll actually show you that live. So there's a fabulous little dangle that you could put off of something. Nothing's gone to waste. You can make it as big or as small as you'd like. Now we're going to make a bail. We're going to trace out a shape using a template onto a piece of paper. And we're going to stick it into one of my favorite things, this little sticker maker. It's all of $12 on theamazonian.com. And it turns any piece of paper into a sticker. And so, oops, sorry about that jump cut. Excuse me. Now I've got a sticker that I can put on my piece of metal and trim out. Now, one of the other things that people get super intimidated about is the jeweler's saw. I'm going to show you that you don't absolutely have to have a jeweler's saw. I'm going to use this really cool pair of shears. They're included in the resource. This was, I think, 22 gauge. And I'm just going to trim out all the way around. Yeah, that sticker maker is pretty awesome, isn't it? All about 12 bucks. The one tip I would say, don't get the repositionable stickers. Get the permanent, which I put in quotes. It's not actually permanent because it won't move around so much. So there's my rough shape, and I'm just going to use nail boards. Again, stuff that people can feel intimidated about. What files do I need? Well, to start out, you could just use a coarse nail board. You don't need anything fancy. We're going to speed this up because watching me file this is like watching paint dry, maybe. I don't know. Took me a couple of minutes, not very long. And again, just a nail board. Hey, Gwen Youngblood, there's my friend. All right, I am a sucker for a good pair of tweezers. I use them for all sorts of things. So I'm going to use this pair of tweezers to kind of peel this off. And then I'm going to mark where I'm going to put my holes. And I'm going to show you a very cool tool. It's the Eugenia Chan 4-hole punch. Now you may have hole punch pliers, and that those would work just fine. But I'm going to use this nifty little thing because it's tied to the gauge of the wire. So because I'm going to use 18 gauge wire here in just a second, I'm using the 18 gauge punch, and I get a perfect hole with almost no burr on the back. Pretty slick. All right, now I'm going to ball up a little piece of wire, and I want you to just notice that I'm using a fairly small torch flame. That will play into this later when we talk about the torches. So I'm just going to ball up that end. And now I am carving a channel in a piece of charcoal block, and I'm doing that so that this bail that I'm making can lie flat. See where I'm going with that? And I'm literally just using the back side of a pick, nothing fancy. But a charcoal block is going to be one of those things I'm going to tell you is probably a good initial investment because you can do stuff like that. So I'm just standing it up. Man, that manicure is nasty. I'm very sorry. We're going to spray that with a little flux. And all that does is help to keep the metal clean. We're going to place a little bit of solder. Janice Parsons says, I'm ready to book my flight to Texas. You'd be welcome anytime. All right, then we're just going to place some small pieces of wire solder right up against that wire. The other side of that is a ball head. And then I'm speeding it up again so that you don't have to watch paint dry. And then we just kind of heat around until that solder flows. You'll be able to see it. Did you see it go? And it just flows right to that hole and done. We'll come back to that. Now we're going to do chain. We're just going to use these wrap and tap pliers to make a coil. Again, I'm using 18 gauge sterling silver wire. I'm doing this in two sizes, large and small. And then I'm just going to cut these into jump rings, basically. Most of you have been working with wire, but at some point in your lives, you're going to want the flat side of the cutters to go to the work. So we're turning that, flipping it back and forth as we cut. And that particular pair of cutters is one of two that I really like because it makes a clean enough cut that you don't have to do any filing. So those are the Lindstrom 8152s, I think. And then the ones I'm using there at the end are the Eurotool Extra Hard Jaw. Those are also in your resource guide. And just by kind of going back and forth, clipping carefully, you can get a really flush seam without using a jeweler's saw. Jeweler's saw is one of those things that people find intimidating. And then I'm going to cut the tiniest possible pieces of solder. The trick to getting a really clean seam on your chain is to cut the smallest possible piece of solder. So I'm going to cut a fringe. I'm going to mallet it flat because it wants to curl. And then I'm just going to clip that off across the fringe, like I'm making confetti. See how tiny those pieces are? That's what we want. So I'm just going to cut a bunch of those. Now I'm doing this on a charcoal block because I think it shows up easier, just the black on the camera. I'm just placing that tiny piece of solder on the block, and I'm putting the seam directly on top of it. And the weight of the ring then keeps that tiny little piece of solder from blowing away. Oh, thank you, Abby. And then a little bit of paste flux. And I aim the heat just right in front. Did you see the solder jump? Watch again. Here it goes. It's going to jump. jump, and jump. It's super easy, and with a nice small pinpoint flame like that, you don't get any of that oversplash. Well, now how do you connect them? Same kind of thing, but in this case, I'm using these cross-lock tweezers as a heat sink, and I'm holding the connecting rings upright so they're out of the way. But they also, because they act as a heat sink, I'm going to be less likely to melt the rings behind. So you can see I've got all of the rest of that chain away from where I'm going to be soldering. And that cross lock is protecting those rings from the heat. I'm using a very, very small flame right in front. You'll see that solder go, boop, all done. And you just do that all the way down. You can also do it this way, where you hold, again, you're using the cross locks to protect the wire underneath the cross locks. You put a little bit of paste flux across the seam, you hold that upright, and then you just use, I know I say just, you use your pick to drop the solder into place. If you've got shaky hands, this might not be, you're better off doing the other way. A little fiddly getting it set up, but it's more hands-free. Just drop it in place. There's that tiny little flame. Nothing's getting overheated. There goes the solder. Boop. Now you've got a chain. All right, now we're going to talk about banging some metal. I'm moving kind of fast because there's a lot, guys. I promise you we're going to talk a lot about this stuff when we come back. This is me showing you that you can texture metal with just about anything. I'm using the cross peen on the back of a riveting hammer to make these lines. And then these are nail sets. You can get a set of these for about $12 at Home Depot. They make perfect circles, and that's a center punch. It makes dots. And now I'm just going to put circles all over. So again, you don't have to have expensive stamps, although if you have stamps, that's great. But all these different sizes of circles. And you can make a pattern just with stuff from the hardware store. I have these little cutouts. That's a pattern from Gwen Youngblood's Rolling Mill Resources. If you are not familiar with Gwen, man, you need to know her. She's amazing. There she is, Gwendy, one of my best friends. And we're just going to take a little bit of 20 gauge wire and flatten a paddle on each end, on one end. To attach it to that pretty patterned piece of metal. Spray a little flux. Now this is a different board. This is a solderite board, and we're going to talk about the difference between the boards. So I've covered that with a little bit of flux. I'm going to place a small piece of solder. And then again, I'm using these cross locks to protect the wire. I'm placing the flat piece down in place. It's basically hands-free. I do have a pick handy, and I am going to press that little paddle down when I see the solder go, just to make absolutely sure. And I'm going to heat only that big piece of metal, not the wire, just the big piece of metal. And I wasn't quite happy with where I had it, so I'm going to rearrange it just to make sure it's exactly where I want it. Here we go. So the cross locks are going to keep that wire from burning up. And there goes the solder. I'm just going to press down with my pick. Doop. All done. I'm going to put a little, that's it. That's all I got. That's all I got on the video. So I went fast, guys, but I wanted to show you that with a very small investment, right? And relatively speaking, nothing that we do is cheap, of course, but with a relatively small investment, you can do a lot of things. You can make chain, you can make those little nuggets, you can make this bail. I'm going to show you this bail. This is literally then just folded over and the pins are clipped. There's a nifty little pair of pliers here called bow closing pliers. And so if you've got some of those beautiful tablet front drilled beads, you can make a bail and just put this on here and squeeze those ends together. And there you go. Now you've got a bail on your little tablet thing. I thought I had some tablet beads and I didn't, and I apologize. You're just going to see the bail. But this was very quick, very clean, really pretty, right? You could string some beautiful beads on there. So that's the bail. I'm going to, together, we're going to do this next, and you're going to have to, here's that hammered nugget that I made on the video. I've wire wrapped it to a round bead wire. Just this, something simple like this. Maybe you put a bead on this instead. You do a leather cord. That could be really cool. All right, so I've got a couple of beads here. You guys are going to have to help me decide. I'm sort of leaning towards kind of doing a triple. These are dyed horn. Thank you, Gwen. Gwen says that's such an easy and pretty bail. It's super easy to do. So I'm thinking, what do y'all think of that as a design? You good with that? Ruth Romero is asking about aluminum. Aluminum does not work with this. Aluminum, this is for what we call non-ferrous metals, silver, copper, brass. Aluminum has too low a melting point. So literally, I have just put these 3 horn beads on here, and I'm just putting a crimp, a regular crimp on top. I'm going to pull it tight, and I'm just going to smash it. So it just makes a little flat detail at the top, and now those beads are secure. I'll do the next one, and then I'll show you how to make that cool profile. I pulled out my little crimps. I'm so glad people are liking this. That's awesome. All right, so I'm just going to pull this and squish it. And then I'm going to hold where I've squished it. And I'm going to grab another pair of pliers. I want to just work hard in this. This has been under the fire and it's kind of soft. I just want to pull and give it a couple of twists just to make it a little springy. I'm going to do that with both of them. I'm just holding where I squished. Pull and twist just to make that a little springy. And then I'm going to kind of figure out how long of a leader do I want. So like on this one, I did a kind of a long leader. On this one, I didn't do much of one at all. So let's do, I don't know. Let's do 1/4 of an inch of a leader. How about that? So I'm just going to take a, Sherry Miller says, this is an awesome class. Thank you so much. That makes me really happy. I'm just going to put a little bit of a mark, kind of line them up so that they're even. And then again, I'm going to hold it kind of right at that mark. And I'm just going to use my fingers. Now they make pliers for this, y'all. These are bow closing pliers. I'm just going to use my fingers to kind of stroke a little bit of a curve. Okay. I just kind of want a gentle curve. I'm going to do the same thing over here, holding it right where that mark is. Your fingers are often your best tools. I'm just pressing it against the pad of my thumb to get that pretty curve. And then I'm going to hold right where that mark is, and I'm just going to push this over. See that profile? Again, I'm going to hold right where that mark is. Let me even this out. Right where that mark is. And just bend it over. I will clip these ends. And check it out. Oh, except don't be like me. Don't do this where you do it backwards. Here, we're going to have to, it's fixable. We're just going to go. Whoop. There we go. Just turn that around. Womp womp. So that the pretty pattern is facing forward. All right, there you got earrings. Super simple. Okay, so you can do all of these things that I've shown you here. You can make this fabulous, these little nuggets. These are great little dingle dangles. You can hammer them flat and stamp them. One other thing that I want to show you, I've got some schmutz on this ring. Easy to clean up. I use these MacArt nail buffs. The green side is a little bit abrasive, so it does the cleaning. And then the white side shines it up. Look at how shiny that is. So these are a game changer, and you can get them for very little on Amazon. So again, you don't need to spend a ton of money. A couple of good pairs of pliers, which you probably already have since you're beading people. A couple of good clippers, which you probably already have because you're beading people. I know you've got beads because I've met you. And this way, none of the silver that you're going to experiment with is going to go to waste. You're going to be able to make these little nuggets. You're going to be able to stamp things. You're going to be able to text your metal. Okay? Absolutely no waste, Janine, right? Because that's the thing always, right? People are like, oh, I'm so intimidated by working with silver. You know, I don't want to start with silver. I'm worried I'm going to waste it. Okay? Here's the thing that I want to say to you. Learning requires an investment. It's an investment of time. It's investment of financial resources, and it's an investment of failure. You have to fail at things to learn how to do them properly, right? So you're going to try the thing and you're going to go, oh, well, that didn't work. What do I need to do differently next time? And you adjust, move forward. You adjust the next time, you move forward, right? So it's a process. I'm trying to show you that all of it's recoverable. Even though I messed up this earring, I was able to recover it. Okay? All right. So all of these things are things you can do without much of an initial outlay. Now, that's a relative term, I know. We're going to talk now about torches. So just give me 1 second. I'm going to move this. And we're going to talk, first of all, about the kind that attach directly to this kind of canister. Somebody's asking a question, can any solid sterling work? Or do you recommend only using a specific type? So sheet and wire, generally speaking, so 925 sterling. 925 sterling is kind of the standard. There are a lot of different sterling alloys out in the world right now. I would stay away from things like argentium or sterlinium, or they're all sterling. They're all 925, but they have different makeups. Good old, plain old sterling silver from Rio or Halstead or Autofry. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, so just, start out with some sterling silver sheet and some wire, and you're off to the races. All right, so there are multiple different kinds of torches on the market. I'm going to talk to you about two kinds tonight. Look at all the torches I went out and got for y'all. These attach directly to this canister, and this is the kind of canister that you get for camping stoves. I really like this because you can get this at most Walmarts. Yeah, Dale is saying be careful of your work area and safety. Don't skip on quality. Yeah, we're going to talk about that. So I've got a couple of different options here of the kinds that attach to the top of the canister. And then I've got some that I'm going to show you that are the refillable kinds, okay? The refillable kinds, there's pros and cons to both. And so I'm going to talk you through those. I'm going to start with these small refillable ones because I think that those are the ones that you guys, generally speaking, are drawn to initially because they seem a little bit less intimidating. Yeah, Terry. Terry says, I took a metalsmithing class years ago. We learned what to smith little torch with propane and oxygen tanks, and it made me so nervous I never tried any of it at home. Yeah, I do, seriously, I do 90% of my work. I mean, I have all those other torches, but I do 90% of my work with a torch like this. You can do very large work with it. We'll talk about that. All right, this is the Blazer Big Shot. This is an extremely popular model. I'm going to go ahead and light this up because I want you to see. I hope you can see that flame. Let me bring this in just a little bit. Compared to this, which is this version, the Burnsomatic, can you see the difference in those flames? Let me grab a charcoal block, that black background, so you can see. Can you see the difference? This is much larger and bushier. This is much smaller and pointier. Okay? This, I'm going to show you this one. This is actually a kind of interesting addition to the market. This is modeled after the Orca torch. It's the Orca head on a refillable canister. And what makes that interesting is that you can get a very large, bushy, adjustable flame, and it has tips that come on and off. Okay? This might be something for you to step up to. I would not recommend this as something to start with. For starters, it doesn't have an integrated starter. You have to use a lighter like this, and that can be intimidating for folks. And then once you get it set up, then you've got to actually adjust the flame. Okay, so I don't know if you can see kind of what the characteristics of that flame is. I'm trying to hold it over the black thing so that you can get down to a very fine tight point, or you can make it kind of bushy. So this is very useful, this torch, but it's a little bit advanced, I would say. This is not a torch I would recommend for the very, very first one. Sherry Miller says, I have a cooking torch for creme brulee. Will it work? So it's hard for me to say. If it looks more like this or like this, you'll have to decide. Something like this is really good for jump rings. This is what I used for the jump rings that I showed you in the video. It has a very fine, tight point. Let me get my pick. So it has a very fine, tight point compared with this one, which is much bushier. You see that? So people are asking, how quickly do they go through fuel? They do go through fuel. And the size of these, the Orca type. Yeah, we'll talk about that in 1 second. These reservoirs are fairly small. And so, this one is larger than this one, obviously, but it's got a bigger flame. So, a couple of hours of work, you're going to have to refill it. Now, it also uses this type of canister, which is not the same thing as the other canister. It has that fine refillable tip, and you refill it through that valve on the bottom. It's the same sort of thing with the Orca torch, but can you see how much smaller the reservoir is there than it is here? So I am intrigued by this. I wish that they had made it with a larger reservoir. I think that this is a very interesting torch. The problem with these refillable types is that you really are not supposed to travel with them because they have a contained reservoir. Okay. And one thing that I noticed about this is not a torch that I use a lot. The top of this gets very hot. And so if you're planning to do a lot of soldering with a lot of, long work sessions, I'm not sure that this is the one I would choose. I was a little concerned about how hot that got on the top. All right, so I'm going to set this aside. This is good for very small pinpoint flames. I'm going to bring in the big boys now. And I want you to notice that I have them all pointing away from me. This is a wood top, but I've got a fire extinguisher right over here. Excuse me. At home, what you're going to do is you're going to put a piece of floor tile down, just an 18-inch floor tile from your local Home Depot or Lowe's, and that provides a heat resistant surface. Okay, so these work by screwing directly onto a canister that has a top that looks like this, and how they attach is different for each one. This one has a screw on top. This one has a tab and slot. Let me see if I can show you that. Can you see that? Yep, you can do a cookie sheet. And this one is a screw-on method. Unfortunately, this is my very favorite one. I love it. It's very rugged. It's not being manufactured anymore, which is kind of a bummer. So I actually bought these to kind of test out. Yep, a ceramic tile. Debbie Kearns is asking. How can you tell if the reservoir is full? I will fill one of these up. I'm going to mispronounce your name. I'm so sorry. Is it Pammy? Pammy? I apologize. I will come back to that and I will show you. So this is, you just screw it directly on and you've got butane until the thing runs out, which is for a really long time. And here's what you get in terms of a flame, right? It's very robust. See how bushy those are? Okay, super bushy. So Julie, that's a great question. Julie says, I had an issue with them. They spit and go from a huge flame to a little flame. Here's what happens. When you get these brand new, when you buy a canister brand new, it's under a lot of pressure. And what we do when we open up a new canister here is we just turn it on and let it burn for a minute. We just let it run because it's got to burn off that extra pressure. Is anyone old enough to remember Zippo lighters back in the day when you met out in the back of the high school and you had to fill up Zippo lighters and then it all flamed up the first time you lit it afterwards? Maybe I'm dating myself. Anyway, on a new canister, it's kind of the same thing. It just needs to burn off some of that pressure. So that's what I recommend when you first get it and you put a brand new thing on. And then take a minute to change direction. Because as the liquid that's inside, this is a liquid gas in here, as it moves around, that pressure changes a little bit until it equalizes. That's where you'll get some of that flare up, but it will balance out eventually. So which torch do you choose? Well, I want you to think about fire as if it's water for just a second. And I want you to think about if you had a t-shirt and you were trying to soak the t-shirt, are you going to use an eyedropper or are you going to use a hose? It's all wet. This is all hot. But if what you want to do is get that whole piece of metal up to temperature, you're going to want to use the fire hose, right? It would take you too long to heat up a piece of sterling silver using this little torch. So it makes me very sad when I see people say, oh, I bought this torch because it gets up to 2,600 degrees or whatever it is. It's a great little torch. It's good for jump rings and that kind of stuff, but it's not really good for much more. So for the person who asked about the creme brulee torch, if it's something like this, absolutely fantastic for jump rings if you're working at home. Absolutely fantastic. If you want to do bigger things like this ring, so let me zoom in. You're gonna die. This ring, that's 22 karat gold. That's a staggered band. I did 100% of that with this torch. Okay, so you absolutely can do good work. You can do big work. You can work with gold using these. What about balling up head wires? Any of these torches will work for balling up head wires. Any of them. Okay. My personal preference, and this is a personal preference. So this is what I tell my students. Opinion incoming. Do not at me. Do not go out and tell people that I said this is the only way to do it, because it's not the only way to do it. My personal preference is to use these kinds of torches where it screws directly onto the canister. So there you go. All right, let's talk for just a quick minute about soldering surfaces. Does anybody have any other? Oh, I promised I was going to show you how to fill this up. I said I was going to. Oh, Kim, that's awesome. I said I was going to show you how to fill this up. Hold, please. There you go. So we're going to fill up this kind of a torch. It's got this little thing in the bottom. Let me zoom in just a little bit so you can see. Where's my little zoomer? There it is. So it's got a little nozzle right here. And this little red tip goes right there. And we're going to stick it right there. And I want you to watch. I'll try to hold this so you can see. When this starts spitting out, it's full. There, it's starting to spit. See? Now this is full. Now, what you don't want to do is go light this right away. Please be safe. Give it a minute. Let it sit. Let this dissipate. You can wipe it off with a rag, a shop rag, just to kind of make sure. But you just kind of want those fumes to go away. Oh, thank you. Silver silk, that's Nile, right? Is that Nile?
Yes, it's Nile.
I'm new here, so I have to make sure I've got all the
That's
awesome,
our Nile.
all the
Yes.
awesome peeps. So that's how you know it's full. And once you filled it, you might get a little bit of that kind of spitting. I didn't get it on this time. It's not a problem. Okay, just like give it a second to let it balance out. That is such. Bonnie Francis is asking a great question. I use anything. And here's why. The minute you put it under the flame, it's going to go dead soft. So it doesn't matter if it's half hard or full hard or any of that. The second you put it under the flame, it's going to be soft. So I just go with dead soft. That's what I buy. All right, let's talk really quickly about soldering surfaces. The two that I used in the video were a charcoal block, and I love them because you can grind out little channels where you want to put things. This is where I ball up little balls of stuff. This is a solderite board. I like this for soldering, and I like this for either complicated setups or when I'm balling stuff up. The reason is that on a charcoal block, the charcoal actually absorbs some of the oxygen. And oxygen is what makes the sterling silver dirty under the flame. So it helps to keep the metal a little bit cleaner. The flux that I used in the video, I used a spray flux. This is the Pepe version of Prips flux, which is a spray flux. And I also used a little bit of paste flux, handy flux. Okay. And the whole purpose of flux is to keep the metal clean under the flame. it's not going to stay clean under the flame. And so what you have to do is to put it in what we call pickle. Pickle is a mild acid solution. I'm using a Pyrex beaker here. Okay. And I literally, you may hear people talk about using pickle in a crock pot. I do not recommend that. And do you know why? Because the glazes in the crock pot liner, the color of those glazes is accomplished with metal. And metal in the acid solution leaches into the solution, and it can contaminate your pickle, and it can weaken the ceramic liner and cause leaks. And so I'm not a fan. You can use Pyrex. What did I just say this was? The thing I just said this was. Somebody help me. I've lost my mind. Or you can use
a beaker.
A beaker. Thank you, a beaker. Thank you so much. Or you can use a canning jar, because canning jars are made to hold up to acidic contents, right? And then what you do is you put it on this nifty, I actually included this in my resource. This is an absolutely fabulous mug warmer. It has a timer and it has 3 different levels. So I turn it on ultra hot, and 4 hours later it shuts itself off, and I don't have to worry about burning up my pickle. It's the bomb. So when you get stuff off the block, you drop it in the pickle. Pickle is an acid. It cleans things up. You neutralize it, rinse it off, and then you saw in the video how I wiped off that little nugget that I made. Somebody's asking about this. This is a kind of a sexy, expensive, you absolutely do not need this thing. It is a turntable, and I promise you, I included it in the resource because I knew you guys were going to see it and you were going to go, I want it. It's expensive. You don't need it. Okay, repeat after me. You don't need it. But I've included it in the resource because I know some of you will want it anyway. Basically, the value of having this is to allow you to turn the work, so that if you're soldering, you can hold the torch in one place and turn the work, instead of setting yourself and your clothes and all the other stuff on fire by going all around it, okay? So this turns, but you can accomplish the very same thing by getting a $6 or $8 Lazy Susan turntable and using a little poster tack to stick this on that and then turn it, okay? So, this is sexy and wonderful, and I love it, and I was grateful to have it. Yeah, I know. I've met you people. Kim is like, we need all the toys. I know. I am one of you. We are the same. we are the same. How about an old cast iron pan on a turntable? Yup. You could absolutely do that. 100%. Use what you have. So the stuff I've shown you here today, you can get in on one of these torches. This torch is very expensive. And again, this is not. I literally do not recommend this torch for beginners. It's very useful and I'm intrigued by it, but probably not the right choice. I really would go with something like this. I think this was $30. And you can get the butane at any Walmart. So you can get in, by the time you buy, I don't know, you're probably $200. You could probably set yourself up a pretty decent soldering station for $250. That's just the beginning though. I'm sorry to tell you that it's just the beginning. So that's it, you guys. I just kind of jammed a whole bunch of stuff in there because they only gave me an hour. I wanted like 6 days, but she said I could have an hour. Really, my goal was to make you understand that you don't have to be scared of this stuff, right? I know it's intimidating. We absolutely want to talk about safety. Janine is asking, how do you neutralize and dispose of your pickle? That's such a great question. I'm going to detour for 1 second and really talk about this. Do you see how this is like blue? That is copper in suspension, okay? Copper salts in the environment are not great. Really no bueno. So I use this for a long time. I wait until it gets really, 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 really blue. And then I neutralize it all together and I put it in a big double-lined trash can with kitty litter. So like if you get like a 5-gallon bucket from Home Depot and put double garbage bags in it, put a thin layer of the good old style kitty litter, not the fancy schmancy stuff, right? Just the good old cheap stuff. Put down about an inch, inch and a half in the bottom. Pour your neutralized pickle in there. Top it off with a little more kitty litter and let it go. When you get to the top, take it to your hazardous waste facility. Please do not neutralize your pickle and pour it out on the ground. It gets into the groundwater. It runs out into our rivers and streams. It's not good for animals. How do you ventilate in a home studio? That's a great question. I did not include this in my resource thing. The simplest thing to do is to open a window and work in front of an open window. You can put a fan in the window facing out, so it's like blowing out. That will pull air away from you. I also highly recommend a Winix air cleaner. You can get them on Amazon for under $150. They will clean a 600 square foot room. And I have one at my home studio. I have a studio at my home as well. I don't have it here because we have enough of an air exchange here that with the other things we have in place, I'm okay. But a Winix air cleaner right next to where I solder at home helps to keep that clean. I have a window that I pop open to vent the air. Sherry's saying, I'm cracking jokes and you're giving us great info. It's fine. It is totally fine. So you guys, did I do it? I wanted you to see that you literally can, even if you've never, I'll just do this one more time. Even if you've never done it before, it does not take very much to get from where you are right now to this. Really not. And so, yeah, I did it. Woo-woo. Should you remove the butane can from the torch head if not using? Not necessary. You do not. What about a fire blanket? Yes, I have a fire blanket. Here's the other thing. Let me say this about that. You should have how many? Let's play a game. How many fire extinguishers should you have in your studio? I will take a sip of water while you guess. How many fire extinguishers should you have in your studio? Five. No, but you could. It wouldn't hurt. Most people are like, one. Yep, Tanya got it. You need two, at least two. And here's why. You need one co-located to where the hot stuff is happening. But then you need one on the other side of the room in case it gets so hot so fast that you can't grab the one that's co-located where the hot stuff is happening. You don't want to get to the door and go, oh crap, I don't have a fire extinguisher. Yes, Becca says all the fire extinguishers. Have all of them, yes. So one co-located to where you are, one at a place at a safe remove from the hot stuff, and then fire blankets. We have them all over. I mentioned bushy flame a lot. What's the benefits? So again, that's that t-shirt comparison, right? If we think of the fire as water, we want to get that metal as wet as possible, as fast as possible. So you wouldn't use an eyedropper, which is basically what this is. This is an eyedropper, and that's fine if you want to do small, little precise dampening of things. But if you want to get that whole piece of metal hot, you want a fire hose. So you want the big bushy flame. All right, so guys, I have a present for you, sort of. I have an online student group. It's free. It's called Open Studio for Jewelry Makers. I told everybody that I was closing the doors until May. I'm going to open the doors tonight just for 24 hours for y'all. If you want to join us, it's free. There's no obligation. But here's what I would rather that you do, truthfully. We also just launched our brand new subscriber platform. We opened a subscriber program January of 2024. It's $15 a month, and here's what you get. You get a complete project, a full project, start to finish demos. The demos run usually 3 to 5 hours. I go straight through. You get a written materials list. So that's every month. You get that from me. You also get a 2-hour work along from my bench. So whatever I'm working on that week, you get to see what I'm working on. And I talk to you about it. My folks this week got to see me making this stuff for y'all because that's what I was working on this week. And then we also do an office hours, a 2-hour office hours. That office hours is where you post questions. Hey, I'm trying to figure out how to do this and I can't do this, or I'm making this thing and I just can't get this bezel to set. So that's all. You get all of that for $15 a month. Plus, we have built up quite the video library. I think we've got over 40 projects in the video library already. including, and this is why I think this might be of interest to you, an entire beginner series that I did. Our studio burned down. It had nothing to do with me. I did not do it with the torches. It was an electrical fire, not my fault. But it burned down, and that whole summer while we were rebuilding in our new location, I did a beginner series. We covered tools, we covered setup, we covered ventilation, and then we did a whole bunch of projects that were designed to get people. Oh, Jan, bless your heart. Thank you. Monica Leone. Monica's one of our moderators. So $15 a month, you get access to all of that, and there is already pre-done. You just have to be kind because I was a little shell-shocked that summer. Pre-canned all of the beginner information, and then but wait, there's more. We have a private community on this platform. So if, we've also got a private Facebook group, but if Facebook is not your thing, and I get that, we have a whole community that we're building on this private platform. So you don't ever have to go onto social media if you don't want to. You can still be part of our group, still be part of the family. So I would love for you guys to join us. And so, Miss Kate, can we have the PDF? Look there's Pollyanna Randall. That's one of our other moderators. This is the thing that I've made for you. These links are all clickable. Here's links to some of the stuff that we talked about tonight. And then there's a present. If you use this lovely GBE5 off, you can join now. If you click the join now button, it will take you directly to Janice. Actually, that is not the right subscriber link. That is not our current subscriber link. Our current subscriber link is learning.makeryarts.com. That's part of the switchover. This PDF is clickable. So if you click either learn more or join now, you can use GBE5 off to get it for $10 your first month. Learn more will just take you to the site where you can learn more about what we do. Yeah, there you go. Learning.makeryarts.com. Thank you. And GBE5 off gets you $5 off. So there you go. Somebody's asking, what about PMC? We have done a little bit of PMC. That is not my first love. So there you go. And Kimberly Crawford is saying everyone in the makery community is so kind and helpful. I feel Kate has done guest instructor stuff for us. So we have guest instructors from time to time. I feel like I'm just babbling now. I should stop and see if people have questions. I'm just I had to fit it all in. Hey, 1 minute after. Look at that. I packed it all in.
I know. We're doing great.
I did it.
We are, everyone, Francesca, first of all, we have over 200 people watching you right now, which is awesome.
Oh my gosh. Oh.
People are so stoked. And Abby's like, just keep going. Let's just keep going. Let's just keep making stuff. I was riveted, literally watching. I don't have as much time to metalsmith as I used to.
Yeah, right? I know.
And I miss my studio. I just need to get in the car and drive to my studio and
you just need to do it.
Melt some metal. It was really great. And Francesca, put those beginning pieces back under your camera for just a second. Yep. Folks, I want to really extol these virtues because you saw what Francesca did with those, the simple torches, that simple, small, relatively small investment in metal. And this is a fantastic place to start, especially if you're a beader and you want to just start jumping in and making some of your very own findings. I mean, look at those, especially if you do markets, farmers markets.
Yeah.
To put your own mark on metal. And, like those could be just little sections.
Look at these little charms.
Yeah.
I was so right. Good. You could wire wrap directly to it. Let's say you just wanted a small section between beads, right? You could do, and then, you can texture this. I didn't even go down that whole thing, and you can stretch them out, make different shapes. And Yeah. Yep.
And so, Francesca, people can join you for $15 a month
Yep.
and learn so much. I'm going to put this back up again. Make
Yep.
sure, friends, and this resource guide, it's over in the Great Bead Extravaganza. We put it in a couple of places. If you go to the Great Bead Extravaganza, it's in the files section in our group. You can download this PDF. All of the resources that Francesca put in, they're all links so you can see those. So you can download it, click away to your heart's content. But it really is, I think, one of the best that for the price of two
Two
lattes.
lattes. That's what we say. Two
And
lattes.
and one of the things that really happened, during COVID, when COVID started, not only did we start this Great Bead Extravaganza, but on the other half of my making world, my metalsmithing and jewelry, metal jewelry making world, a bunch of us metalsmithing teachers got together, and this is really something that came out of that.
It
Francesca,
is.
all of this virtual content. I taught a lot on Zoom. A lot of our other metalsmithing instructor friends started teaching on Zoom. And it's something that has followed through 5 years later that's still a wonderful, vibrant, amazing communities and amazing learning experiences.
Yep.
So it's
we've invested a lot, when COVID started to wind down. Oh, Jan. Mwah. My people, thank you, Pat. My goodness. When we started to wind down from COVID, people were like, "Are you going to stop doing this?" They were so upset. And I said, "No, we're gonna continue to do this." And this has become a significant part of what we do at the Makery now, is reaching out into the community. Kate, you and I have had this conversation, right? Sadly, there is a lot of gatekeeping in the metalsmithing community.
mm-hmm.
And I understand that there are people who have spent 40, 50 years of their lives building their craft, and they take it
Yeah,
very seriously, and they look at people like you and me as kind of, interlopers. I get it. Um, I I felt so bad for people during the early days of COVID going into these groups, looking for something to do, trying to get answers, and being belittled and treated
yeah,
like,
yeah. And we don't play
you
that
ain't
way.
we don't play that way. So the whole goal, you guys, is there are no stupid answers when you're or stupid questions when you're learning something new. There has to be a safe place for you to ask the questions, for you to be taught how to do this safely at home, because you can do it safely at home. I can't tell you how many of these professionals told me you can't teach beginners online. Yes, you can.
Oh,
because we
yes,
did it. We did
because
it, didn't
right, and we've been doing it for years. I mean, I've taught my torch class for Craftsy.
we? Yep.
That sucker's like 15 years old, right?
Yep. Yeah,
So,
Kate's the OG. She's the
well,
OG.
you're the OG too, my friend. I
Mm,
mean, we've
no,
known
no.
each other a long damn time,
Yeah.
and the
But you literally wrote the book.
well, literally, but uh, I got to turn on my torch so I don't forget. But
Right.
but it's really true. Creating safe spaces like we do here at the Great Bead Extravaganza, like you do at the Makery. Not only do you create a safe space online, Francesca, but you have a state-of-the-art facility there in Bulverde, Texas. I have been there to take a class, your old Makery, not the new one.
Oh, no, not the new one. The
And
new
I
one's
can't
pretty
wait to see
sweet.
the new one. But you really create, not only do you have in-person classes there, but
Yep.
you have virtual spaces too for your
All of
metalsmithing.
we offer workshops here, physically in the room, right? So we've got 8 to 12 students physically in the room with a teacher teaching live. But you saw the camera system. We have that whole thing set up. And so we open seats for online participants as well. So they get to participate live from the comfort of their own studio. They get to ask questions and engage with the teacher, and just exactly as if they were physically here. And we just wanted to make sure that we could spread out to as many people as we could. We also, I will mention this, we have a very strict no politics, no religion rule. And it isn't because I don't think there are important things for us to talk about. But honestly, don't we all need a break from that? Nobody wants to show up here and be worried about whether I'm going to share my political opinion. Okay? I promise you I will not. So nobody will share their political opinion because that's not why you're here. So that when we talk about safe places, I really wanted this to be a respite from all of that. We just don't talk about that stuff here. We just don't. So you are welcome, whoever you are, whatever your walk of life, whatever your persuasion, you guys here, you're welcome. Our goal is to love others well. That's our tagline, love others well. And we would love, love, love for you to join us either here in person, take a road trip, or join our subscriber group online.
Well, Francesca, we have been so fortunate at the Great Bead Extravaganza to have your expertise, your sage advice, and it was a wonderful way to wrap up our day one of our Spring Fling. From everyone here at the Great Bead Extravaganza, we thank you, thank you, thank you. And people have been asking how to watch this on replay. Best place, this is going right out. It's in our Great Bead Extravaganza on Facebook, and it's also going out to our YouTube channel. Now, Facebook videos now have a shelf life of 30 days on Facebook. But thankfully, we also have a Great Bead Extravaganza YouTube channel where you go over, hit that subscriber button. You can bookmark, you can share Francesca's presentation out on, add it to your playlist, hit subscribe over on the YouTube channel, and you can watch this again and again. Francesca, your video, super tight. It just so good.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you.
Good. Thank you. And I got to say, man, I was checking in throughout the day and watching what some of y'all, man, I'm just telling you, I was like, you do not need more beads. You do not need to order stock. You don't need to do it. I was very inspired. So
it's so good. So Monica's asking, so on files, if you go, depending on what platform, if you're on a desktop, a laptop, your phone, if you go to the Great Bead Extravaganza group, and you go, usually it's on the desktop, it's under the main screen, and it says like about, discussion, all of this. If you go all the way over to the end, it'll say files. And you click on that, and all of the files that we've uploaded are there. I think if you're on mobile,
is it okay for me to upload this to my subscriber people on my platform? Okay.
Yeah, do
I'll
it.
do that.
Yeah, it's your
but I made it for you though. So
you did.
Trying to be respectful.
Well, thank you. I'm going to go over to the Great Bead Extravaganza group. Let me see. That's not it. I'm going to go to the group here. Hold, please.
Hold, please.
The Great Bead Extravaganza. Here we go. The group. Now, here I am. Okay. I'm on my Facebook on my phone.
Look at me leaning in like I can read.
Right. So if I go under here, right? Yeah. Get a little closer.
I'm like,
I go under here and I go over. See how I can click right there on files, right there. That's where it is. It's at the very top. You can go view file. And there it is. Okay. That is it. So it's there, and it will live there in the files in perpetuity. Okay. And you can download it to your phone, however you want to do it.
I'm seeing lots of thanks in the comments. Y'all are so welcome. Goodness. Kate, thank you so much for letting me be part of this, for real. Thank you so much.
I love metalsmithing content, and I always get sidetracked with beads, right? Because here at beadshop.com, I sell my favorite torch. I sell some metalsmithing stuff, but I'm always so bead focused. So anytime we can take a pause, have some metal work,
band some stuff, burn some stuff up. Right? I'm all over it.
It's so good. Right. Yep. So thank you so much. We super appreciate you.
And absolutely my pleasure.
Well, take advantage of that. Jump over to Francesca's and on the Makery Arts, you can join her space for $15 a month. And you're opening your Facebook group, Francesca, right?
I'm going to open the free Facebook group tonight.
Let me get that. Yeah.
It's a secret. It's going to say that it's closed, but I'm going to be watching for you. And tomorrow, between now and tomorrow night, I will be letting you guys in. Just in where it says there's a question at the end that says, confirm you're not a business. Just say Kate sent me, and I'll know that you're one of the folks I should be letting in. Kate sent me, right?
That's me. I
Kate
sent you.
Sent me. Yep. And I'll let you in, but don't tell anybody.
Don't tell. That's so awesome. And then you can jump over to learning.makeryarts.com and join in Francesca's group or online community.
Yep. $5 off the first month. Only 2 lattes, and you get a whole full project. I used to charge $500 for those classes.
Yeah, so good. Oh, my mom's saying she got in yesterday.
Yay! I let her in. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So awesome. Well, thank you so much, my friend.
Thanks so much for having me.
No, we so appreciate you. We'll be talking soon. We've
got things to talk about.
Right? Totally.
We do. Well, we have things.
We got things. So we had up to almost 250 viewers today.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Which was really great. Thank you, friends, for engaging. Share this content out from the Great Bead Extravaganza page. Not only does it help us here at the TGBE, but it'll also help our wonderful special guest, Francesca Watson, who did this just out of the goodness of her heart. So one last time.
Because I love you, girlfriend.
Well, we appreciate you. And it's right over there on Facebook, Open Studio for Jewelry Makers at the Makery. Okay, take that screenshot right now. So tomorrow, my friends, we're going to get started. I'm going to put the schedule up for tomorrow. Bear with me here just a second. There it is. We start again tomorrow with our big buddy, Abby Berta of the Bead Place, who just celebrated a big anniversary as well, 20 years, which is awesome. Abby starts up at 8:30 Pacific and 11:30 Eastern. And then we go through our whole second day lineup of Abby, Heather of Humble Beads, Cynthia and Azalea over at Green Girl Studios, Kay of Stars Beads and Bedoria, Christy Friesen, and then we finish up tomorrow with our Great Bead Extravaganza Ask Me Anything. It's always a fun Q&A and
fun wrap up.
Yeah, we have.
Abby, did I see it was 20 years? A 20-year anniversary? Is that right?
20-year anniversary.
Holy cats, that's amazing. Congratulations.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So good. Well, thank you, my friend. We'll talk soon. I'll talk to all of the rest of you soon. Thanks so much for joining me. And day 1 of TGBE is a wrap. Thanks, everybody. Talk to you soon.